want to thank everybody for coming out. First meeting of the Board of March. Glad to have everybody here, and at this time I've asked Marcidio Nunn to lead us in our invocation. Marcidio.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we just bow right now, Father, to say thanks. Lord, thank you for being so good to us, so kind to us. Lord, we ask, Lord, that you just continue to show us your grace and your mercy and your love. We ask that you would be in the middle of this meeting, Father, continue to lead and guide the mayor and the board to make the best decisions for our city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And I've asked Rochelle Jenkins to lead us in our pledge. Ms. Rochelle.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Before we get started too far into this thing, we want to take a moment and remember the Pounds family. City of Booneville lost a fine man this week. Stan Pounds has passed away, and we want the family and them to know that he is in our prayer. His wife served on the board, and we want to honor them and remember them in prayer this week. Glad to have them as part of the citizens of Booneville and remembering their family. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to add to the agenda a consent item. It is the minutes from the 2:10 work session and the special call meeting of 2:27.
Motion.
Second.
Jeff and Carolyn, discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. I'll give y'all time to look over the consent agenda, then I'd like to ask for a motion and a second with the added item of E, which is in red on y'all's docket.
Motion.
Ms. Lavelle,
Second.
Ms. Tara, questions, concerns? All in favor? Motion carried. Next, under new business, we have Kent Gino here to discuss a grant opportunity with gas and water. Kent, come on up. You and your, Lord, I forgot his name. Trevor. Come on up with help him out there, Mr. Trevor.
Okay. Well, thank y'all for the opportunity again. It's been about 3 months when we first brought all this to you and talked about possibilities that exist out there regarding water and sewer. And we've got good news for you tonight on it, I think. And I'm going to just hit some highlights here at the beginning. And I know y'all, the mayor's already told me y'all didn't want to stay all night, so we'll cut it short. But I was going to hit the highlights, then let Trevor tell you some particular details that he and Paul have been working on pretty diligently. This funding comes through the State Revolving Fund Loan Program through DEQ for the sewer. And just recently, Booneville really didn't qualify because of some criteria that they had, associated with their grant and loan program. However, all that has been changed of late, and Trevor has worked with the DEQ representatives and got it to where Booneville does qualify. And when I say qualify, it's basically 80%, they call it subsidy, which the other word for that is a grant. So, but they call it loan forgiveness or subsidy. So that's 80%. And then the other 20% is on a 0.8% loan, 0.8, which is extremely low loan. And this particular program has allowed a lot of our other clients to fix their sewer system and get it back up going good. And I think this is what can happen for the city of Booneville. And talking with Paul, I know y'all have lots and lots of issues on the sewer. And we've got this thing broken into 2 phases, basically. Phase 1 and a phase 2. You could actually, we would apply for $5 million for phase 1. 80% of that grant would be $4 million. And then on phase 2, and the phase 1 part would be all line work, line investigations, line replacements, things like that. And Paul has worked with Trevor to see where those locations, the worst locations are. And he's got the maps to show you when I turn it over to him. So then the phase 2, we know you've got some issues with the wastewater plant, and got some notice of violations and things, which is not a bad thing. When you hear the NOVs or notice of violations, that's actually not a bad thing. It was actually a good thing that Paul had turned some in to DEQ about some emergency discharges y'all had with line breaks or something, and then he kept up with those at the treatment plant when your discharge into the creek didn't meet standards. So those notice of violations, of which we got copies of, is going to actually help the city with the funding. So the second phase, we're talking about another $5 million, and within that phase, we've also built in to do a complete assessment on your wastewater plant to figure out what all y'all need to upgrade and get it back up to standards, and then we have some line work in phase 2 as well. So kind of doing two things in phase 2. We don't really know exactly how much the treatment plant work would cost, and whatever that costs, whatever we got left, we could use for additional line work. But I'm gonna turn it over to Trevor and let him explain to you about the different locations and areas, and about how the city qualifies and so forth. So go ahead, Trevor.
All right, kind of jumping off what Kent said there, you know, your notice of violations, and this is a list here of what the DEQ has given, and everywhere down through there that I've got it highlighted is a violation. So you got about 15 within the last 5 years. So it's not something that's getting better, and generally what causes that is bad sewer lines. You get rainwater, you get it down in your sewer lines, and then you're overworking your plant, and it just causes a whole bunch of problems over time. But not only that, this is a board here that I put together based on what Paul and me talked about. It's just where are the places where you're nickeling and diming you to death. You're spending money, and you know you need to be replacing lines. And there's several places here. He's told me about Washington Street, Jumper Circle up here, down there. He has lots of problems. So a lot of this, First Street, Frank Street up here near the college, just some areas that it's falling apart, and it's got to be fixed here at some point. And this would provide, we go in and fix. And then down here, this is your, another spot we talked about was like East Church Street, where you got sewer running where there's not a pipe. Mm-hmm. So that's another spot. We've identified them areas. Those are the ones that we're going to replace. But we also want to keep a little bit of money there. So this is your Mile Branch drainage area right here, across from Church Street, down to your lagoon, up there down J Center Road. That's some areas that hadn't been looked at in years, according to Paul, and we don't know if there's sewer on the ground or backups or what. But that would be a good opportunity to clean those, and then you take a robot, TV them, and then make repairs as needed instead of replacing all of it. A good bang for your buck there. So that was something we discussed on phase 1. What's your biggest needs? What's those areas that are causing you the most trouble? And that would be kind of what would happen in phase 1. And then phase 2, I know we said we've got some leaking clarifier basins, you said. So a few little things here. This is not much on this map here, but I got to talking with DEQ here, and we initially thought that this area in red there was the only area that would qualify based on low income or whatever, but they actually look at several other criteria based on how many folks are on food stamps, how many houses don't have occupants, and the city of Booneville qualified for 2 of those points. So this is y'all's service area for sewer. So anyway, any work in the future, as of the criteria right now, with that 80%, we could get it funded through that. So that's why that $5 million could be put towards that plant, because your whole city qualifies. So anyway, that's a few things there we discussed on MDEQ. I got a ranking form there for both of those, for that funding source, for phase 1 and phase 2. What that does is that puts your name on the list. We'll start putting together a preliminary engineering report, and the state will rank you, and we'll go through the process of getting that loan, where 80% of it is forgiven, and the remaining 10%, that'd be on that 0.8% loan. So
That's some good work.
And one other thing I want to say, that this process, you can basically use the state money all the way through the end of construction. And you really wouldn't have to start making payments to about 90 days after construction's complete. So we're projecting probably 28 or 29 and maybe even 30, depending on what needs to happen at the treatment plant, before you would ever have to start making any payments back. So that'd give y'all time to put some money in the coffers if you need to, or whatever, to help with those payments. It's an excellent program. It's there for the taking, and especially while they've got a lot of money at the state level.
yeah, one more thing I wanted to tell y'all, as far as we were looking at this area, let's get some sewer line work fixed. But they, upon discussing with MDEQ, they favor towns that use a phased approach, meaning that you've already got a plan in place. I need to go from A to B. This is one project, move on to the next project. You've already took care of all your environmentals. We know you want it. You're pre-planning, and they give preference to that. So that's kind of a good opportunity if you're pre-planning several years in advance to get these loans, for especially phase 2. So just that's a good option there. Anyway, so that's your ranking form. If you want to go over
The other item we have for you regards water, and Trevor, you can over get our sack for Transat pipe. We brought, I didn't know if y'all were familiar with asbestos cement or Transat pipe in the city. I know the mayor probably is, but we brought a little section here that we actually, the contractor up there on doing the utilities around Northeast ran into, and you look at that and it'll break, basically, that kind of pipe. But Booneville is full of this kind of pipe.
Yep.
And when for instance, if we get a lot of dry weather, the ground moves, that pipe will shear in a heartbeat in the ground. So it's just lots of trouble. Lots of our clients, we've all tried to replace all their Transite pipes that they have in the ground. Booneville's got a lot of it. Now, we've got a similar funding arrangement. It's with the State Revolving Fund, but it goes through the State Board of Health instead of DEQ for the water. And basically same arrangements. You've got a ranking form in front of you for a water project, and it's to replace all the cement, asbestos cement lines that we can, but it's also to replace an old existing horizontal pressure filter that you have treating the water. We're replacing one up there now on Parker Drive. We've got another one that needs to be done. So that's the monies that's included on that particular ranking form, and we would need to start the process of the planning documents and stuff to work with the Department of Health and move forward within that project to receive that funding. It's a little bit different on the qualifications. Basically, there's a new thing called emerging contaminants. If y'all remember us talking to y'all about that 3 months ago, and the state has 100% funding for emerging contaminants. Well, one main thing that y'all treat for is manganese in the groundwater, and that's on the emerging contaminant list. So within this program, we're going to try to obtain 100% funding for, how much was that, the pressure filter,
We're gonna look at about 2.1 or 2.2 million.
2.2 million, 100% funded. The remainder of it, you would qualify for 15% grant. Then the rest would be on a 1.95% loan over a 20-year payback. So it works the same way. The interest rate's a little bit different, and the grant loan combination is just a little different. But if you can get 100% for the pressure filter, that really stacks up within that project. But go ahead and talk to him about that if you want to, Trevor, whatever.
Kent was saying transite pipe. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that, but it's made with cement and asbestos. That's all it is together. And like I said, Paul, I guess as far as you're working on stuff, how often are you having to work on this pipe here?
99% of the time, it's AC that we have to
Yep.
fix.
And it generally happens when it's the driest in the summertime?
When the ground dries, it pulls apart. When the ground gets wet, it comes back, it snaps again.
Yeah. And that's probably been in the ground since the 50s or the 60s. But anyway, that's something that will eventually, I mean, it causes you a lot of trouble. It really does, and costs you a lot of money, just the fact it's there. And there's probably more of it than we can spend money on here if you look at a map of Booneville. But
It's a start.
it's a start, yeah. And anyway, you could go broke trying to replace every bit of it. But that's kind of a need that Paul has told me. I'm constantly working on this. This is costing me money, and I don't have time to do this and that I need to be doing. So anyway, that's a need here, and that's part of what we're trying to accomplish with that program there. And then obviously there's that pressure filter that's where all or pretty much half your water of y'all's system comes from. The one we're replacing now on Parker Drive was pretty much half the water from your system. It treats it, and this is the other half. It's the same age. It's a little better condition, but it's still 40 years old. And I plan to replace it here in the future, especially with 100% forgiveness on that loan would be a good option to go ahead and get that in the works.
There could be, it's kind of like the wastewater plant on this particular project. Paul said we might be able to salvage the building, so that would cut out a little bit of money. And whatever we don't spend on replacing the pressure filter, we could put it toward replacing the bad pipes and stuff in the system.
But anyway, this is all kind of some needs that we've identified and try to come up with a fix with it. So I'd like to present both those ranking forms and to y'all for consideration and approval.
I've got a question.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So basically, what this is tonight is we're just getting our name in there
Right.
to apply for this before we even do anything. Because if we don't put our name in there to get it, then we can miss out. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. It starts the process, whereas we have to prepare what they call a facilities plan for sewer and water. And it just outlines what we want to do, all the maps and all that, the estimates, and we even go through some environmental process clearances, things like that. They've got steps at SRF that you move through. As soon as we send that ranking form in, they'll send us a schedule. You gotta meet these certain dates.
And one other thing, you know, once, say this thing gets approved, we get approved, and for some untold reason, we said, well, we can't afford to do it right now. That, they're not gonna force us to do it, we're just right now applying for it, is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to.
So, so I guess the motion would be to move forward with a facilities plan, with Cook Coggin Engineers and apply for the said grant.
For sewer and water. Yeah, you have two ranking forms there.
One for sewer and the other for water.
Correct.
Is that all right for that motion, Tara?
Mhm.
Second.
Tara and Jimmy?
And that'll give us time as a board to see if we can come up with some funds, because in my opinion, it's our job to take care of the future, and it's either gonna be our problem or the next board's problem. And we need to do it if we can.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank y'all.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
y'all.
Next, I want to welcome Ms. Chenault and the Juneteenth committee. I'm not sure who's gonna be speaking on y'all's behalf. Ms. Chenault?
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you all? I just want to speak with you all about discussing and getting approval to host our third annual Juneteenth, the weekend of June 28th and 29th of 2025. We have given the parade route to Chief Ramey, so he knows the route for the parade, which will be held on the 29th. We would also like to have access to the John Lewis Thompson Community Center on those days as well.
Motion.
Second. Give it to me.
I got Jeff and I got Tara. She spoke up and said give it to her, so I got Jeff and Tara. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I look forward to the celebration. Next, under general government, Ms. Sharon.
I'd just like to ask y'all to approve the insurance document for the mayor and I to sign on the baby box initiative.
And let me, I'm sorry, Lavelle, I got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
motion?
I got
Okay.
Lavelle and Tara. I just want to inform everybody that the first year for the insurance premium has been covered. And this will give Mr. John time to get his nonprofit and everything set up to pay for the next year. So this does give us ample time to get the paperwork and everything done. Daniel and I met with John and everything's good to go. Daniel, any question about anything?
Everything's in order, so let's just get it through.
Motion, all in favor? Next,
Okay,
Who
next
made the
I would,
motion?
I got Lavelle and Tara.
next I would like to ask y'all to approve for the mayor and I to sign the MOU, for Reiniger Road project and any other necessary documents there.
Motion.
Second.
Jeff and Carolyn, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next, we do need to have a work session to finalize the code book, not 303, but Walden Drive as a whole. The county truck fee, this is the fire department truck fee, that we respond to in the county. That fee to the county has not been updated since well before Derek Bly, so it needs to be looked at, and the CNG vehicles that are running in the city. So what day would be good for everyone? You want to look at the calendar?
Not next week.
We got too much going on.
What about I know I've mentioned this before and some had issues, but do y'all want to do it before the next board meeting, or is that too quick or too early in the evening, on the 8th maybe?
The 18th, isn't it?
18.
Yes, the 18th, I'm sorry.
I think it's
I
fine.
jumped ahead on my calendar.
What, 4:30?
The 18th.
Yes, the 18th, 4:30, I believe that would be ample time to get everything done.
We got too much this week.
Any concerns, anybody? Can I have a motion for these dates?
Motion.
Second.
Carolyn and Jimmy, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Sharon. Next, moving on, Carl Sanders.
How's everybody tonight? The first is to just discuss, approve, seek the bids for our annual mowing of all city properties.
Motion.
Second.
This time they'll be the same as it was last year unless somebody has something they want to add.
That's,
If
I got
they do,
Lavelle.
they need to give me or Sharon one.
Okay.
Lavelle and Jeff.
I got Lavelle and Jeff. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next,
The second is application for a variance for lot width from Little Creek Properties. Mr. Ronnie Johnson representing them. I'll give all y'all a package, just have it read or whatever.
and your committee, what's their recommendation?
The planning commission, which you set up with Miss Lori, we had that meeting, they recommended they approve this. They said it would be a good idea for the city.
Motion.
Second.
I got Jeff and Lavelle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay.
Charles, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Next, Miss Lori with Tourism Department.
We are bringing forth, Main Street has applied for another grant through Mississippi Main Street Association, and Mississippi Hills is a real estate development game plan for us moving forward with the city, and our match is $1,000. We're just asking for that resolution to be passed.
Motion.
Second.
Terry and Carolyn. All in favor? Motion carried.
Ms. Cameron, you need to hand that to the mayor. There's your copy, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Chief Agnew with Fire Department.
Good evening.
Chief, thank you.
I would like to ask y'all to approve hiring Matthew Brown at firefighter 2 at $13.49 per hour, effective the 3rd, 10th, and 25.
Motion.
Second.
Well and Jimmy, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Like y'all.
Thank you, Chief. Oscar Jocelyn with the Gas Department. This is the video that I showed y'all previously of the gas leak. This work has already been done because it was an emergency, but it does fall underneath the dollar amount, so we don't have to do any bids. Go ahead, Oscar.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna cost more than what it did, but it didn't. I don't know how long it was leaking, but just having a man just went by.
So motion to approve
Motion.
emergency repair of gas line,
Second.
$4,950. Jimmy, Tara,
Jimmy
Jimmy
Clark.
Clyde.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, Chief Oscar.
Jimmy and Terry.
Oh, let's move to the end of the meeting. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Next, Mr. Kenny with Street Department.
Table
I
that.
thought F was tabled. Yeah, we tabled.
Yeah,
But
we-
y'all have to make a motion to table that.
Can you,
So do I have a
Motion to table.
Tara and Lavelle? All in favor of tabling? Motion tabled. Thank you, Kenny. Next, on the board report, Jeff.
Lavelle.
Lavelle? Yeah.
Yeah, Mayor, I've had a lot of phone calls, and I've been driving through looking what the phone call was about.
Kenny, please come back in, please, sir.
And, we need all the ditches cleaned out all the way through the city. Most of the culverts are stopped up and with leaves and sticks, and so I just put it on the agenda for all of it to be done, just not just certain parts of it.
And we're working on the dishes and culverts, Kenny.
We're cleaning out the cupboards, but I mean, the ditches, if they want the ditch cleaned out, we'll clean them out. But if you go start digging in somebody's yard,
Well, it ain't the digging,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
cleaning out the covers and getting the brush. It's been, lady called me yesterday and she said the leaf been sitting in her ditch, on the side of the ditch for I guess she told me about a month or
you need to
so.
call the street department.
And she
We'll
said
make a
she,
card on it and we'll take care of it.
she said she called in. I don't know now, that's what she told me. Now I went by and looked at it and they still there.
We've been cleaning them out today, and yesterday we've been cleaning them out to get ready for the rains.
Yeah, but,
All right.
I told her I would turn it in, so it's been turned in, so.
Thank you, Kenny. Well, stick around, because we got one other one right here. Go ahead, Jimmy. Next.
I want to discuss on the first one is the, Paint the Town Orange, it's kidney cancer awareness. I'm gonna ask Miss Lori if you'll come forward and tell us about what this all is.
This was brought to our department, just as a town observant of, there's not a lot of research done at this point for kidney cancer awareness, and Miss Lisa Lindsay brought it to our attention. She is wanting us to recognize it the month of March. We're going to work with our business owners and our residents about Paint the Town Orange, where they can get a ribbon and put it on their business entrance and just keep it there for the month of March. What this does for the kidney cancer organization is it brings awareness to that, I guess, association. And UAB at the federal level is giving UAB a certain amount of funding, I believe, to go in and do additional research. Like I said, This is something that she has asked us to do and consider as a community. I think it would be good, and I did not realize, I will not name names. We have several within our community that have been affected by kidney cancer.
Absolutely.
So why don't we declare the month of March as Kidney Awareness Month? Have a
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Tara and Jimmy, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, Jimmy, street lines?
Yeah, on, throughout the town, we got some problems on being able to have the lines on the street you can't see. One of the major things that Kenny and I was looking at is, starting at Walden's and going west on Church Street. You can go down through there, you don't know what side of the road you're on, basically, because it's, you got a turn lane, then you got, and,
I got a quote on that. That plastic paint is $13,500. It's $13,500.
13,000.
$13,500 to go from Walden's down to the light down there at the cleaners at Market.
That's a pretty good stretch.
That's where the,
Yeah.
that's where the,
That's
the
the
center lane goes all the
Duraplast.
way down to there.
yeah.
But it don't last long.
Well, the
It peels
Duraplast,
off.
the Duraplast is what they put on the highway.
But it
It-
peels too.
It'll be there for a good long while. They actually put the broken glass in it.
It peeling off.
It didn't last that church.
If,
No, it don't last long.
on this right here, Kenny, on the 13.5, if we come back, say, a year from now, and we're gonna work on East Church Street, the, trying to get the streets fixed and pipes running, all this stuff, how long would the temporary paint job work? Would it be like 2
Well,
years, maybe,
They can just paint it with just painting at $6,500.
just to paint it?
Just the paint, not the thermoplastic, that's just the paint.
Yeah.
How long does that last?
A little longer, a lot longer than what we paint, when we paint with that little can. But I couldn't tell you exactly now.
Now, what we done with the can, just to give you an idea, I wanted to see how long it would last, so we painted in front of City Hall, 7 years ago, and it lasted about 1.5 years. So, and you can see, you can't even see the lines in front of City Hall, but that was just regular paint.
Yeah, and I know over, the curve that you did over there by Travis Childers and Bo Lee's coming around there, now
It's done
the
gone.
paint, it's all gone.
It's gone.
And when you drive, especially people that's coming into the city that don't know, I mean, they're on the wrong side of the road most of the time because of you don't know where you're at, because there's no lines there.
That stuff
How
don't
much
paint.
did it cost to do that?
I did,
I know y'all painted that at one,
now that's just out of those spray cans. We just bought those cans. I don't know exactly what James.
because it
gave
was
us
about
those
2
cans.
years ago that we had you to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I'm looking at, if it'll last 2 years, it may keep somebody from having an accident there.
Yeah.
So.
Especially new drivers. I've had several complaints of people with new drivers that get over there near Walden's and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Same way at Plum Rose.
Yeah, a lady said that to me, coming in the ball cam the other night. I didn't know what side of the road I was.
Now, I will say this, the 1350, there's two types of the plastic one. There's a plastic that Kenny buys and lays down and use a heat gun or a torch to melt it in. And then there's the one that is sprayed down by a company that's like on the interstate. That's the 1350, right? That's
Is
not
this a quote or an estimate or?
Need it, just let them go around.
But we
Look at
can't have a
all of
quote.
them.
No, it's not a
We-
quote.
Well,
Just
It's
a-
just a general price.
Instead of just doing
Just
part
an
of it,
estimate.
see, it just
No,
go-
it's not a
be,
quote.
be
Have
babbling.
we
What about Plum Road
approved to
too?
get
Yeah.
quotes yet? Because we
We
can't
would just-
see it
no,
until we do.
We were just inquiring so we
Yeah,
could
I
get an
just priced
idea,
Yeah.
just an idea.
But
They're
we
not
don't need to
quotes.
see it
No.
or,
Well, the places that he just brought up, why don't you get Kenny to go by and look at all of them that needs it and let him get a quote on all that, just let him paint it and then come back. It like total up to be 13.5 for all of it, because it's small that.
So this will
Can
be
we make
it.
a motion to
Plum
get a
Rose,
quote?
motion to receive quotes on
I'd like to make a motion
painting,
to get a quote on painting and
like,
what he just said.
the thermoplast.
Yes, for both.
'Cause like
Because
Jeff said-
if we're gonna replace
Yeah.
some of
Yeah,
it, we
do
don't
the
wanna
whole
spend.
thing.
Yeah,
Up there by
no
Plum
need of
Rose.
putting that high dollar
Right.
stuff over there
So-
by
If you're gonna tear it
Walden
up.
when you finna tear the streets
You're
up,
right.
put
Uh-huh.
sewer
that's
in.
right.
Now, we need to get an area from and to, so we get a quote. So let's say from Walden's to the cleaners,
Yeah,
is item one, and the area for the second quote would be
Plum Road.
Plum Rose.
from intersection at Baptist Student Union to,
Yeah, it needs it bad.
from the Baptist Student Union to where? The four-way at the top of the
always go
hill?
all the way to the bypass,
Yeah.
blinking light up there.
Four-way at the,
Bypass,
MLK
quick,
and-
yeah,
Yeah, Bobby Quick.
yeah.
okay.
I'll
All right.
motion.
And then
So we got a motion from Tara,
And I'll second.
And then that curve that they were talking about,
At
paint that, I think.
Bowlees.
Yeah.
Yes, and
All right, so we would
Childers.
need to go from Langston's. Let me hold up on that one.
Okay.
Because when we do phase 2 of the downtown project, that one will be done. That's in the works. Then we're
You
fixing to
talking
start
about-
that in 4 or 5 months.
Okay,
Okay.
So
that'd
can
be
we
good.
exclude that one, Jimmy? At
Yeah.
this time?
at this time, yeah.
Because when we start phase 2 at downtown, that's just gonna be done.
Okay.
All right, so, Tara, that,
And I second.
okay. And no disrespect, Jimmy, I'm just know it's fixing to be done anyway. So all in favor? Motion carried. Next, need a motion to approve the signing of the MDOT Phase 2 project downtown.
Motion.
Second.
Tara and Carolyn, all in favor? Motion carried. Next, we have a public hearing on the 503B. This is the one we had the mess up on the addresses, and we had to go back and redo the notices in the mail. Is there anyone here representing the ownership of 503B North College Street property? Hearing for cleanup. Is there anybody representing the owner of the property? This is a hearing. With no one here to speak on that property, do I have a motion to seek bids on the cleanup
We
of
got to have
property?
Charles to give us him.
I'm sorry, Charles? What's your recommendation on 503B?
Same as it was 6 months ago. It is a menace to public health and safety.
Motion.
Second.
Tara and Lavelle? All in favor?
Uh,
Motion carried. Thank you, Charles.
Yes, sir.
Next, motion to go into closed session for a personnel issue at the gas department.
Motion.
Second.
Tara and Jeff, if everyone will please step out, it won't take long, I don't believe. All in favor of closed session? This is- Back in open session, James, you ready? Back in open session, no action taken from the closed session, and motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Aaron Lavelle, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Get home.